Hey everyone, welcome back to the second video. So if you're with me through the first one, now you're with the second one. Last time I talked about, we were going to talk about balance on this one. So balance, we all crave it. We all see a need for it, but it's hard to make it. So quiz yourself. How often you missed out on something just because you're a teacher? So you have friends wanting to go out this Friday night. Oh wait, sorry, I have football duty, and I forgot that I signed up for it back in August. Oops, not going out tonight. So your significant other wants to go grab some food, but you really need to get these papers graded before the night is out. The question that so many of us are asking as educators is, how do we make sure that we are able to have a life outside of school? I can't speak for everyone. I can only speak from my experiences, and even then, there are times I fail because balance is difficult. I had to give my wife a whole lot of credit in helping me keep as much balance as I do, since she is the organizer in the family, the person who keeps the calendars. So the first thing I can tell you is that keeping balance in your life is easier when you have someone holding you accountable. You have to have that person who will call you out on bringing a carload of projects home and staying up until 1 in the morning grading them, then zombie walking back into class the next morning. The reason I say that is this. As much as we teachers generally try to take care of others, whether it is our fellow teachers, our students, or bending over backwards to help our administrators when they're in a bind, many of us are absolutely horrible at taking care of ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the quickest way to end up in the burnout zone. We need people in our lives who will call us out, make us stop and focus on the stuff that's actually important to being a human. My second bit of advice is something I personally excel at. Build in time to do schoolwork at school. Most of us, but not all of us, have planning blocks. I'll address those in a moment. But what I'm talking about is stuff like getting to school 30 minutes early if you know you have to run off papers, or arrange with your significant other to stay a few minutes late to run off the papers for the next day. For me, getting to school early and getting my middle school kid of my own on the bus provides me with the benefit of time that lets me set up my goals for the day. It also helps me prepare for the chaos. For example, like how many times have you had a computer mess up? How many times have you had a printer mess up? Or how many times have you had your son, when you got to school, go, "Oh my gosh, Dad, I left my computer." And so you race back to the house because you have time. It's not a big deal. I got time built in. This is why we have it. So we race back to the house. I pull in and say, go get it. I wait a minute. He doesn't show up. I wait 2 minutes. It's my son. He's a little slow sometimes. He kind of drags around sometimes. Not a big deal. After 3 minutes, I'm like, oh my gosh, that boy has lost his computer. So I go in to try to find it. I call my wife up. She just says, "Jason, did you check his bag?" No, I didn't. I go to his bag. I check it. The computer's already in there. Oh my gosh. Yes, that is what happens. Sometimes stuff like that happens. So you see, when you build in that extra time, you end up being able to absorb the unexpected. Guys and gals, because I had time set aside where I get to school early with my son, I was actually able to get him on the bus on time and still come back and have some time to work a little bit to get ready for the day. Third piece of advice, find a way of making lists that make sense to you. Some people make lists just as the events hit their calendar. Others look at lists and they do the things that will make the most time, that take the most time first or last, and the things that will take the least amount of time the other way around. So if I knew that on my list I had grading papers I know will take me an hour, and I also have running off a paper for tomorrow's class will take 10 minutes at most, and then some people put the grading first, some people put the papers first. That's your preference. You can divide it up by amount of time. I like to choose a different path. I make my list, put them in the order of importance. Do some things not get done? Well, yeah. But if they were not important enough to make the top of the list, then they really weren't all that important, were they? You can also look at those things and ask yourself, can I get someone else to do this? Or is this something that I can do while my students are researching or taking a quiz, something that I don't have to be actively involved in? If you plan on doing that, you need to make sure that, number one, it is not distracted to the students, and number two, it's something that does not keep you from being a professional. One of the things that I plan on is time for me to breathe. It is important to give yourself a break. If you're like me and you keep so many plates spinning in the air, one of those plates needs to be for you to breathe, take a small break, and then plan in that time. The fourth piece of advice: planning block time has to be sacred. Planning block time has to be thought of as our golden time. As soon as you can, jump in feet first and start to work on the highest priority items on your checklist. Even if one of those things at the top is self-care, get in and do it. Many people advise you to avoid the teacher lounge, and I agree up to a point. We all need time with our peers, so be ready to build the relationships with your peers, but not at the expense of your classes. Now, I can also hear some of you venting to me right now, but how can you have planning block time if you never have because you're covering other teachers' classes or you have duties? I know that happens. To that, I had to call on the administrators that you have to help protect your teachers. It helps you to have people you can depend on, that your students can depend on. Have the ability to plan how to teach the students. That time has to be sacred, so protect it and use it. And administrators, please protect your teachers' times as much as possible. I need to make it clear that I understand that all teacher situations are different. You may be in a school or work for an administration that makes this type of balance unavailable. Or you may be a teacher who coaches, and that is a completely different breed of teacher with challenges I will address down the road in another video. However, please understand that if you're a teacher coach, you have my respect. Most teachers don't know what you do. But don't worry, I got your back. You'll see in a video later on. Another influential problem that can affect your ability to provide balance is that you may be a young teacher. When you're a young teacher, it is so easy to fall into the habit of bringing work home, of doing your lesson plans at home. And if you're single, it's almost like the school becomes your significant other. You need to be careful. You're starting habits that can become hard to break. I would hope that by following some of the tips I provided and planning and using your provided time wisely, you would give you the needed planning time. You don't make the school your girlfriend or boyfriend. Ladies and gentlemen, your time is precious. Yes, you do have a job. Yes, there's a calling you're jumping into that can suck the lifeblood from your social life. I do not deny this. However, if you're going to succeed as a teacher, then you need to protect the time you need to devote to the most important parts of your life. Yes, we are teachers. We should be proud of this, but you have to be more than this to be more than just a teacher. Be interesting. Find something that you enjoy. Be with the people who are your support groups. Make your time outside your schools count. These people that are so important to you are only in your lives for so long. So cherish them. Some of us who are older and have lost some of these people realize the need to spend that time with those most important people far more than the younger teachers. Finding that balance between work and rest is one of the most important things you can do for your students. I grew up in the Piney woods of Mississippi, thus the name. But my hometown's a small little dot with more cows than people in the actual town boundaries. It was tiny. But one thing we did have was plenty of churches. I grew up working with my dad on the farms and playing baseball or basketball with my friends, and on the third pew from the front with my mama and papa on one side of me, my mom on the other. When that is your life, some things stick. A work ethic, a love of family, and a moral compass. Some of the sermons you hear as you grow up sticks with you as well. And one of those that stuck with me was about two lumberjacks. One was an older veteran, and one was a brand new, strapping young man coming ready to take on the world. And when the workday started, they started hammering away, chopping at the trees. And the old veteran had a steady stroke, boom, 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 boom. And that young buck He's up there going, blah, 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 blah. He's every tree he's trying to knock down, and he looks over and sees the old man sitting down. He's like, whatever, I'm going. I can go full steam. And he just knocks down as many trees as possible. He goes through and he keeps on seeing the old man. He'll get up and work, and then all of a sudden he'll stop and he'll keep going. And he's like, man, just work. And he's working and working and chopping down trees. And the old man just sitting there, just chop, chop, chop. And then he'll take a break and then chop, chop. And the younger man's going at it harder and harder. At the end of the day, when all was said and done, the older man had chopped down more trees. And the young man looks at him and goes, what are you doing? I worked my butt off. I kept going so many times, and you didn't. How were you able to be so productive? The old man looked at him and said, well, when I was sitting down, resting, I was sharpening my axe. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to be able to sharpen our axe. And that comes with us having that time for ourselves. Yes, I make no bones about it. Balancing stuff is hard as a teacher, but you got to keep your business life, where you make your money, and your personal life separate at times. There's going to be, just because of the nature of the beast of what we do, there's going to be some bleed over. But you got to be able to have that time where you can spend with your family, spend with your friends, and be unique, be creative. Be someone who is interesting instead of just being the teacher. We are more than just teachers. That's all I have for you today. I hope you learned something or found something to help you breathe or to help you find balance. Without the balance, we are much less effective. And our students are going to suffer from it in the end if we do not. In the next video, I will detail how I create lesson plans, how I create creative lesson plans. So if you're looking to see how my mind works, sorry for you, but if you want to see how my mind works, you're invited in. I hope you will not come out of it too scarred for life. So until next time, keep plugging away, and remember to keep those kids as a focus. They are the reasons we have jobs. So go inspire them.